I'm Christiaan Joubert. I'm originally from South Africa, but I live in Berlin for the past 3 years, 3 out of the 4 years that I've been working for Resolution. And today I'll actually be talking about Agile ceremonies, as already mentioned, but more specifically, the basic symptoms and also common pitfalls that we experience with Agile. So, as a question, I mean, some of you already indicated that you work in Agile, but how many of you feel more or less like this when hearing about Agile? Yeah, I would assume so. Well, what we do want to say is we have a very strong belief that Agile is not dead, because a lot of people think it's dead. Some people say it's simply not fancy. We have a little bit of a different take on it. We find that it's basically a mindset, and if you have the right mindset about it, you can implement it in your day-to-day very easily. So if you want to learn about how to do that more effectively, we actually do offer training on Agile ceremonies. So that is available. I'll share the QR code exactly on where you can find that a little bit later. But what you need to be aware of is, while we've been doing this training with people, the most common thing that people tell us is that you have to be open for change. And I mean, if you're not, you're going to struggle and you're going to sigh, like some of the noises we've heard. Then we've got a very interesting quote that we really live by, and we say, for every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned. Well, spent in organizing, an hour is earned. Who else lives by this or believes this? Great. Then we are on good track. So first thing first, we do think, we do question, what is the first thing a plan does? And simple, change. So that brings me to, no plan can survive the first contact with an enemy. And if we look at that in that sense, we need to look at the project triangle, where we have scope, cost, and time, and quality in the middle. So if you do cut on one of these, let's say your cost, your budget, you cut on that, you will be affecting the rest of the triangle as well, and ultimately the quality. And this brings us to the symptoms of Agile overload. And what are these symptoms? So symptoms that you can already look out for is excessive docs. So some people do have master of Scrum Master. We don't say that's wrong, not at all, because you have big companies like, for example, Bosch, where this is needed. But unless you're not as big as them, you need to ask yourself that question if that's really necessary. Meeting fatigue is also a real thing. So if you don't have people engaging, you also need to be questioning your structure. And then over-bureaucracy in terms of your rituals, slow it down instead of accelerating it. And then reclaim agility, make meetings more meaningful and lightweight. Then we move on to common pitfalls. So scaled framework, this is basically what we see a lot. People create their sprints up to 10 sprints in advance. That is not ideal. Please do not do that. It's good to plan, but that is taking it really too far. And then BS. Feedback, use your imagination, please, there. Feedback captured, but no connection made. So for example, in a retro, if you get the feedback from your team members and in the next retro, it's not communicated what changes you've made to fix that, then that's obviously BS. Story point obsession. I mean, we had some interesting discussions internally about story points. I don't know how many of you actively use story points. We were trying to explain exactly how it is working, depending on how big a task is. And for some of us, we said, we used the example at the time of booking a hotel. And some people said, oh, that's easy. I go onto the internet. That's something I can book. I allocate 3 story points to it. One of our software engineers said 99 story points. And we were like, is it really that complicated for you to book a hotel? Anyway, so yeah, the point is you do not need to have an over-obsession with story points. What you really need to have here is, as long as you have a general number that you can measure at the end of the day to see if you are increasing or decreasing in terms of effort, that's more than enough. Then Agile theater. So that is basically your waterfall in disguise. You want to watch out for that. That happens very commonly. So how do we fix this? Well, by descaling our strategies. Step 1, keep it simple. Revisit the original Scrum. If your Scrum guide is 13 pages, great. If it's 800, you might want to shorten that or just at least summarize it. Focus on feedback loops, so question roles or ceremonies that don't improve feedback or flow. Empower teams with proper ceremonies and experiments with fewer steps and sign-offs. Sunset redundant processes, drop meetings or docs if no one sees the value. That's very common. But be careful because, again, you can still over-plan. And I thought I'd share this video with you, so please have a look.
As you all know, over the past few months, I have been rebuilding the game engine and reworking it from scratch.
I did not know that. That sounds expensive.
Yes, very much so.
Go on.
So I saw some comments from the player base that they're dissatisfied with the level of skin textures in the game.
Really? Like, I haven't seen these comments.
Yes, it was a comment on a YouTube thread.
A single comment.
Yes. So I got to work designing, researching, and reimagining, and I think I've found a solution.
Okay.
Holy shit.
That looks so photorealistic.
Who the f*** is that?
Oh, it's just a random NPC from Hollywood.
Okay.
So my original goal was realistic skin textures, but to do that I had to work out skin cells. But for skin cells I had to work out all cells. So I got into atoms, electrons, protons. I even got into the quantum realm and figured out quarks. I was going to get into string theory, but I thought that might just be a little bit too much.
Oh, you think this might be a little bit too much, Delvin?
Yeah, but it did allow me to work on mitochondria, and as we know, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, and we don't want powerless cells, because what are we making, dead cells? What are we making, dead cells? Dead Cells is a game made by...
Delvin, move the f*** on!
Yeah, okay. So after all of this work into making skin cells, I thought I may as well replicate all of the other cells in the human body. Oh, and I worked out nuclear fusion, so the sun is now real and emitting real light rays. I had to move it very far away, though, so the world map is incredibly large now. Oh, and now the light causes plants to photosynthesize. Oh, and now the light causes plants to photosynthesize, and animals now eat the plants, and then the NPCs eat the animals, and they have full biological working systems within them. So it has led to increased realism in not only skin textures, but in, well, everything. Yeah, so that is what I have been working on.
Okay. Can we see it in action?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nice screenshot, but...
What? No, just... There it is.
Is that another screenshot?
No, this is on live servers. I will admit that there is some optimization issues, but it's going on.
Oh, I'm not surprised you're having optimization issues, Delvin. It sounds to me like you're simulating life itself.
Speaking of which, another emergent byproduct of all of this work is some of the NPCs are now sentient. So.
Delvin, what the fuck?
So based on that, we can see that clearly there's not been a lot of sprint planning going on, and also clearly a lack of stand-ups happening. So no one knew what he was doing, what he was working on, until he surprised everyone with exactly that. So we say keep it lean. And what are the principles? We say simple start, begin with minimal ceremonies that kind of work for you. You can always refine them as you go, trial and error in that case. Measure the error, look at the actual data and the cycle time, quality, and user satisfaction. Act to reduce it, implement small changes, see if the metrics improve, loop faster. The more quickly you adapt, the less chance of bureaucracy to expand. So how do we solve all of this? So we solve it with NASA, not the space agency. NASA stands for Not Another Standup App. So it started with us helping you prepare and do daily stand-ups. You'll see that's obviously the very first block. But we have improved it to do all of your Agile meetings and help you with all of your Agile meetings and even some of your non-Agile meetings. I do, however, want to quickly show you how we do our daily stand-ups in the marketing team. That is if I can find my mouse. So what I can tell you is that our preparation for stand-ups we've become super productive with planning for a daily stand-up. So what you'll have in the NASA app is you'll have this specific screen, which is my update. And here at the top is all of your different Agile meetings that you have. For the sake of this, I'm just going to use the marketing stream. I'm sure they will not mind me messing it up. The question is, what was done yesterday? So what did I do yesterday? And I can just look here at, this is what I've done, and I can add it on. I can also add some additional comments, and if I do add a comment, I can also directly link it to that specific issue. What has to be done? Well, today I need to talk at Work Evolution Summit. So there's that. I also have some additional tasks that I need to do, but I'll keep it light. I don't need any feedback today, so there's my updated preparation, a small summary of what I'm planning to present during stand-up, and I can enter the meeting lobby. So as you can see, I'm the only one who prepared anything because they did their meeting at 10 a.m. this morning, so I'm a little bit late. I'm going to start the meeting. It's going to be a little bit boring because I'm the only one in here, so there's no one to interact with me, but just for the sake to show you what it looks like, when you're actually doing the live stand-up, this is what you'll see, and you'll see all of the profiles at the top, and you can obviously cycle through each and every one of them as you proceed. So I would give my stand-up update and say this is what I've done. I will flag issues that needs to be followed up on later. And once we've moved through anyone, I can simply just stop the stream and it will generate a journal. What will happen in the journal is based on everyone's preparation, what they've entered, it will give you a summary of what everyone has said they are planning to do, and that you can also save into Confluence. Sorry, the internet's not super quick, but there we go. So here we can see some stats, participation. I was the only one attending. Goals met, resolved suggested issues, and there I can see the update of everyone who was involved in the meeting. Obviously, I was alone. So that is the long and short of how this app works. This is just for stand-ups. Obviously, it can be used for other meeting types as well, like I mentioned before. So going back to that. Again, those are the other meetings that we do support, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. So what we see and what is important for your meetings, especially for daily stand-ups. Your daily journal, so people plan. The moment you plan in the morning, when you actually select what you're going to do, you actually cognitively commit to doing your work or to doing that specific task. So the chances of that being done is very high, obviously, because you need to report on it again tomorrow. But more than that, it also increases Jira adoption. Second to that, show interesting work. We believe in showing interesting work because visually, I mean, if I'm just talking, just a voice, you don't have anything to see, and that would probably keep 20% of you interested for a while visually up to 70% of you might be more interested in what I say because of visuals. Find it, again, we are documenting each of these meetings. So as we've said, each and every planning can be saved into Confluence. So it's very well documented, so you can always go back and find it. And with all three of those things, you can actually plan and scale and improve your stability within your sprint. So over here, these are some of the QR codes that I mentioned earlier on. We have a use case on the stand-up dilemma, so that's QR code number 1. You can also take a picture and visit these later if you want. So the use case can be found on QR code number 1. Our Agile Ceremonies for Impact, this is the training. So the training, access to our Agile training can be found at QR code number 2. And if you want to try the NASA app for yourself, it's free to evaluate. You can find that at QR code number 3. We also have some upcoming features planned for the app. So we've got planning poker, integrated planning poker directly into the meeting flow, timer support and team avatars for focus estimation, visual story point selection with real-time feedback, automatic calculation of average estimates, smoothly transitions from discussion to decision, and then the next one is upcoming templates. So like we said, the meeting started off with only supporting daily stand-ups, but because we support all Agile meetings, we are creating templatized versions of each of these meetings in the NASA app that you can just go and select, and obviously you can also customize them more to your process as you would like. And that is it.
We thank you as well, Christiaan. Any last thoughts coming from you, folks, before we move on to Philip? Okay, we have Mihai here.
Hi, nice presentation about, I would call them Scrum ceremonies, because from my point of view, Agile has multiple methodologies, right? And you're talking about Scrum. My question is how AI agents should be part of the ceremonies. I mean, have you guys give a thought about the future of work where AI agents should be part of the ceremonies?
Very good question. So yes, we have thought about that. And interesting enough, with Rovo now being available and part of every product, it's something that we've also considered. And this is specifically a Forage app. And with Forage supporting Rovo, it is something that we have on the roadmap. More details about that, I would say let's talk one-on-one afterwards, and I can give you some more information on that.
How you are able to scale the number of the meetings without burning out the teams?
Sorry, can you?
Yes.
So the cadence can be set. When you do set up your meeting settings for each and every meeting, you can set up the cadence in the meeting settings as well. So also when you invite your team members, the moment you invite them, you can select which team members are part of that cadence. So obviously, if they are not part of that cadence, at the very top where I showed you all of the different meetings that are listed in the dropdown, they won't have that unless they are part of that cadence. So that's more or less how we handle it, if that answers your question.
All right, thank you. Let's have the laptops switched.
Thanks so much.
And a big round of applause for Christiaan.